This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 187 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Home isn't a place, it's the people in it, and they'll always be with you. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel on the surface of the sun.
Welcome to the first day of summer, everybody.
Oh my god. It's not even technically the first day of summer yet. First official day of summer is until June.
Yep.
It's an unofficial
Except in the Intermountain West where it's still rainy, but whatever.
97 degrees, people, and it's only Memorial Day.
It was 98 in my neck of the woods yesterday.
Oh my goodness. So
yeah.
We've all peeled ourselves away from the air conditioner and the fans long enough to come back to the show. After last week's just life got in the way. All sorts of stuff happened last week. So, but we won't get into that.
No, let's not.
Yes. Brittany's like, I don't need the reminder. Thank you. It's okay. Alrighty then. So, with that, we are going to jump into news. First with some convention news. And Chrissy is very excited. And we're all extremely jealous.
Very happy camper in her state.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Did you hear that great big shout of fangirly joy across the country, my friends? Because Salt Lake FanX, oh my gosh, made like the biggest announcement probably of their existence so far. The one, the only, the one who's been requested so many times since there was a Salt Lake Comic-Con is finally coming. The 10th Doctor and everything else he's done, but the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, is coming to FanX in September, and the fandom rejoiced. Hallelujah.
You'll be breathing the same air as David Tennant.
Yes, although I don't know if I'll get to where I can afford to buy an autograph from him, because I know they're going to be super pricey.
Yes, but you'll breathe the same air as him.
Good. Yeah, if I go to his panel, I'm like, I will be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Be like, that guy all the way up there with the really good hair.
Yeah, this is like, honestly, I mean, they've had some good guest announcements, but this is the first one that I'm just like, oh, I need to go see. Yes, for me.
Like,
can't talk coherently, but dude.
Like, please and thank you very much.
Yeah.
Might want to take some earplugs because of the screaming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if it will take Alex to that panel, because there'd be a lot of
not.
Yeah.
It'll probably scare the crap out of him.
Well, considering that yesterday,
better have a whole pile of pillows for the fainting fangirls.
Yeah.
The fainting of happiness.
Yes, indeed. So
see if he can volunteer.
It's exciting.
He's like, will there be a smelling salts crew? You should see if you can volunteer.
Right? Oh goodness. So yeah, it's exciting. Yep. So that's our big news.
Yay! I'm jealous. I'm excited and jealous.
You know what? The way he's making the rounds, I think you might get your turn eventually.
Oh yeah, eventually. Eventually.
Yes, and I'm jealous. I'm back to work, and that's the weekend of my birthday that he's making the appearance.
Oh, you should totally just ditch work and come out and visit.
I guess my birthday, I can do what I want.
I wish I could.
Like, the birthday girl is out of here. Bye.
Yeah.
I will be back. Maybe.
Yeah. Surprise! Doctor needs to be fourth companion.
Yay. Yep. That's exciting. Oh. All right. Does Fanex, do they pre-sell autographs and photo ops? Unlike some other conventions? Some do, some don't. Is that one that's... Maybe? Did we lose Chrissy?
She had to quit do a food check.
Oh, okay. That would be... She's in the middle of baking some food, and unfortunately she can't send any to us through the Skype. Oh, there's a message. I missed the message.
Speaking of, they're awesome.
Yes.
I've seen pictures of what she's making.
Well, if Fanex pre-sells photo ops and or autographs, you probably want to get on that, because I'm guessing David will sell out.
Yeah.
So.
To quote Zach Morris, no brainer.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, all right.
So if you thought tickets to Galley go fast.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
No kidding. And speaking of convention, some more convention news. Indie PopCon, which as of we're recording this is next week. Oh my God.
Rachel, you ready?
I'm not ready.
Oh wow.
I'm not ready at all. But it's next week. PopCon is next week. Oh my goodness. So as far as the schedule goes, you can go online. They're going to be working on the app and updating the app here hopefully sometime this week. But as of right now, the full convention schedule is online. You probably want to check it often between now and next week, because things have changed and will still change. I know that they have moved some photo ops around. The Power Ranger panel went from having both David Yost and Jason Font together to now they're doing separate panels. So stuff is still in flux, even with like 11 days to go until the convention. But as of right now, I am doing one panel on Sunday of the convention, so that's June 10th at 3 o'clock. And it is Big Finish, Doctor Who, and the Time War.
Cool.
So it'll be me and Russell McGee and Nick Crone, who I interviewed at PopCon last year. They've both done work for Big Finish. But Russell approached me and he's like, I want to do a panel about the Time War. I'm like, sure, why not? So I'm trying to absorb as much stuff about the Time War as possible, which there's a lot. It's kind of a big deal in Doctor Who lore.
Yes.
So, but between the three of us, it should be a fun and interesting discussion to talk about something that technically is, even though Doctor Who's been around for almost 55 years, it'll be 55 years this November, but the Time War was not a thing until Doctor Who came back.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there'd always been the Doctor and the Daleks as enemies from the very beginning, but the Time War was not a thing until Russell T Davies came up with it when Doctor Who came back. So it'll be interesting to discuss both the Time War and how they've retroactively fit it in with the Doctor's pre-Doctor Who's return in things like Big Finish and books and other forms of media. So it should be fun.
And there's nothing wrong with having an excuse to go back and watching the 50th anniversary special.
Which I probably will again. Because I really love Danny Doctor. And I'm in the middle of reading a book that's a collection of short stories for the War Doctor. It's War Doctor 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors. It's a collection of short stories, so that's fun too. And then I need to reread Engines of War.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, so sad. You
I
have
know.
to reread
Oh
it.
my goodness,
Yes.
it's so horrible. Oh my goodness, it's so awful. So, um, so I've got still got a lot of research to do between now and that Sunday. So that will
Not that
be
you're
fun.
complaining.
Other than
That's
that,
fun research.
yes, that
Yes.
is true. Other than that, panel with Tony Troxel Friday evening. Right now, I'm a tentative yes, as long as the David Yost photo op does not change times again. Because it's already changed times
Oh.
once. If it doesn't change again,
Fingers
like,
crossed for you, dear.
back to when it was, then
Yeah,
I should be
really.
okay. So we'll see. So I'll make sure to post something on Facebook, on social media, like probably next week. Hopefully, when the schedule is more finalized. Hopefully, crossing fingers. So, and other than that, I will be bouncing around from the podcast indie booth and probably some other booths and this, that, and the other thing. I am not currently planning on doing a live podcast recording like I have done in previous years, just because there are so many things that are still in flux schedule-wise that I did not want to block out an entire hour that may come into conflict with other stuff. So,
And we're doing a
Understandable.
panel as well, so you kind
Yeah.
of need to save the voice.
yes, that too. I do need to save the voice. Especially considering that panel is like in the last block of time on Sunday. It's like the last hour
Most
of the
definitely
convention.
then, yes.
So who knows what kind of shape my voice will be in by then. So yeah, the less time I commit to talking for an extended period of time, the better. So there's that. And then looking ahead to In Conjunction, which is early July, I am currently doing 2 panels at it, and I know they just posted a preliminary schedule on their website, which again, subject to change between now and then, because there's more than a month until that convention. But right now I am slotted to do the 90s Were All That.
Nice.
Nice.
And
What show could that be about?
yeah, no, it's all about 90s TV shows on Nickelodeon.
That's kind of what
Nickelodeon
that's
do night. So
cool.
that should be fun. So I'm excited. I love doing panels. So that's it for convention news. A couple of trailers have dropped.
I know.
yeah.
Oh, these both look awesome
Yeah,
for
so-
vastly different reasons.
Yeah,
but-
really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got I'm actually going to reverse these. So we got a new trailer for Christopher Robin, which is the live action / CGI Winnie the Pooh, with a grown-up Christopher Robin played by Ewan McGregor.
The feels. In a
The
good way.
feels,
Feels, yes. I mean, if you thought the teaser trailer was a punch in the feels, holy cow!
Yeah.
The full trailer.
yeah.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah.
And
looks
the way
really-
that they're doing the live action with this, with the stuffed toys, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I love that they look like, you've seen the pictures of the stuffed animals that the Winnie the Pooh stories, the original stories were based off of. I'm like, these look like them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Mhm.
they also look like the Disney version. So it's like, it's kind of interesting how they managed to blend the two looks. And I really like it.
Nice, and especially Tigger. I mean, oh my god.
Yeah. I know when I first saw Tigger, I was like, wow.
Mhm.
It all looks, it looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
Yeah.
And Eeyore's Eeyore. I mean,
Yeah.
And we get to hear more of the see more of the characters and hear more of the voices. So we got Haley Atwell as Christopher Robin's wife. So,
Yep.
and then honestly, I don't think it would have quite the emotional gut punch if it wasn't Jim Cummings doing Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the scene where Christopher gets stuck in the tree.
He's like, "Did you have some
eat
honey?"
Did you too much honey? No.
I haven't had any honey.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's just the trailer, so we don't know, what Christopher Robin's full reaction is going to be like when he sees, his childhood toys. But just the fact, it looks like he's basically rolling with it. It's like he is, going to 100 Acre Wood and playing with all his with all his old friends, and it just looks so good. And then they end up going to London at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I like the twist when the stuffed animals meets the daughter. It's just like,
yes,
this is gonna be good.
It kind of reminded me, if you remember the movie Enchanted. I mean, this is a different premise here, but the daughter at that one, when she and Giselle go off on a shopping trip, I'm like, this is going to be kind of like that, isn't it?
It kind of looks like, it almost kind of looks like it could be a cross between Enchanted and Hook.
That's what I've been comparing it to.
Yes.
A lot.
So, because it's like Christopher Robin, he's grown up and he's, all he does is work and he's forgotten what it's like, to spend time with his family and have fun and that sort of thing. So,
yeah. And he's still a good person. It's like, because and his boss is kind of a terrible person.
Yeah.
And, they're
Mark Gatiss.
wanting to fire everybody. And so, Mark Gatiss. Of all people, Mark Gatiss. All right. But it looks. I'm really excited for this. It looks like it's not just going to be. Oh it's nostalgic and stuff, but it's also going to have a good story to it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
It looks really good. Yeah. And then the other trailer is one that I have been waiting for. Because this movie has been in production for, it seems like, a bajillion years. But now
I was reading up on it. I'm like, wow, that's been a long.
Yeah, it's been in production for a while. But we've got our first look at Bohemian Rhapsody, which is going to be the Queen/Freddie Mercury biopic.
Yep.
And that trailer.
So good.
Yeah.
If anything else, the soundtrack. I mean, the movie. The movie could be like, whatever. But as long as they've got the music in there, I'm totally down. So
yeah.
Well, and I'm sold on the actor that's doing Brian May. I mean,
he looks like Brian May.
Like you hear him talk. If you've ever heard Brian May talk, he's really he's got this very soft spoken kind of voice, but it's not
listen to all day.
Yeah, it's not wimpy or anything, but it's just how he is. But when Brian May in the movie or in the trailer spoke, I'm just like, dude, that sounds just like him.
Yeah.
And I actually we were talking about this because we went to brunch earlier today with my in-laws, and we were kind of talking about the trailers and things that had come out, and so we were talking. My brother-in-law was saying that the actor who's playing Freddie Mercury, when he auditioned for the part, he said it was like the most nerve-wracking audition he'd ever had, because he was auditioning for Freddie Mercury, trying to sing Queen songs to Queen in front of Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that had been.
But and he's the guy who got the part of Freddie Mercury, so it's like, hey, you did something good, dude.
Yeah.
Yep, you impressed Brian and Rogers, so
yeah.
Yes. If they gave you their stamp of approval.
Yes, and they have been, they are very protective of their legacy and Freddie Mercury's musical legacy.
I do not blame them in the least, because I can remember some of the stuff with the problems that they had with some of their management back in the day.
Yeah.
It was just like, you guys.
Yeah.
Circle wagons.
Well, yeah, I don't blame them either. It's like, don't. Anyway, the good part is they made the movie. It's to their specifications, and I think if the band members of Queen say it's going to be good and they're excited for it, then I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, it looks really good. That doesn't come out till November, so we
didn't see X, Y, and Z in this. It's just like, guys, it's just a trailer.
It's a
teaser, not even a trailer. It's a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
It's like not going to see a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we'll get more trailers between now and November when it comes out.
Yes.
Like there's time.
And probably some TV spots. I mean, obviously it's not, an Avengers movie where they put everything online except the big spoilers.
Yeah.
And on TV, but it's still, you're going to get a lot more promotional stuff between now and then. So, chill.
Yeah. And the teaser trailer's already playing in the theaters because when I was walking by the vending area with my snacks for seeing Solo, walked by one of the other theaters that was showing a movie, and I could hear the Queen trailer playing. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Here's where the
there you go.
comes in.
Like, yep.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, and it's, it's all, they even have the trailer on in different languages, because I subscribe to their YouTube channel, because my little boy loves to listen to Queen. Who knew? And it's I look on my YouTube subscriptions, and there's like all these different Queen trailers, or Bohemian Rhapsody trailers, and I'm like, why are these all? Oh, that one's in Russian, that one's in Spanish, that one's in French, that one's in Chinese. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense now.
But we all know the words to "We Will Rock You."
Yes.
Cool.
For sure.
All right, couple more pieces of news for those that are still paying attention to the Arrowverse. I'm really not, but
I'm not either.
They are going to continue with doing big crossovers between the 4 shows, as they're wont to do. But the next big Arrowverse crossover is going to include Gotham City, not the TV show Gotham, but Gotham City, and a Caped Crusader, but not the one you may be thinking of. So when the big crossover happens, come the fall, CW made a big announcement with Stephen Amell, but they are going to be fighting alongside Batwoman. Yep.
Cool.
So, which Batgirl has been done way back in the day. But they had Batgirl in like the animated series and all the way back to the Adam West series, but Batwoman is different, I believe. It's not Barbara Gordon, I think. I don't know. I'm not up on the comics, especially DC. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to consult my comic experts.
Yeah. But they have alluded to Bruce Wayne and Wayne Tech and all sorts of things. So, but as of this point, they have no plans to actually have Batman join the Arrowverse. So
that's probably for the best, because Batman would overshadow everything else.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, I mean, they've even used Superman very sparingly on Supergirl. So, just because those 2 characters are just so big compared to the rest of DC's heroes.
Yeah.
So. But Batwoman should be fun. So there's that. And I can't find the link to the other thing I saw, but apparently along with this announcement is they also said that at some point they are going to introduce the Green Arrow's signature goatee.
I thought his scruff was supposed to be the goatee.
The goatee, yeah.
Well, but that's not it's too scruffy to be like
Well,
the goatee.
okay, it's not.
So
Okay, let me rephrase. It was a stand-in because the goatee was kind of
cheesy.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
So it was like, okay, we're not going to do the goatee, but here's the next best thing we do.
Yeah.
I'm now pitching Stephen Amell with the goatee. I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna look so
weird.
I'm trying to think if he's ever like done it and posted on Facebook as kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I don't think he has.
I don't think he has.
Yeah.
I think if that would happen, I think Felicity would take one look at it and pull River and is like, what is that?
Yeah.
What in the name of sanity have you got on your face?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I wear a goatee now. Goatees are cool.
Here's the razor. Shave it off.
Probably.
Rough, please.
So, if you're not excited for Batwoman, you keep an eye out on Arrow for Oliver Queen's goatee.
The facial hair can be a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Just don't expect Oliver Queen to join the facial hair bro, superhero bro club anytime soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of River Song-ish, kind of. Not really, because she's new Who. But anyway, speaking of Doctor Who.
But she has met the classic doctors in Big Finish,
true.
So there's your segue.
There's my segue. If you are not a person who uses Twitch, you might want to download the app or bookmark the page, because starting actually this week.
Yeah, and Twitch, may your servers be strong.
Yes.
May they be mighty. May they not crash.
It shouldn't be too bad, because I have partaken of the marathons when they did the Power Rangers and when they did Mr. Rogers, and it didn't seem to be a problem. So, of course, those fandoms aren't nearly as strong as Doctor Who, but this is also classic Who.
True.
So, we'll see. But anyway, starting May 29th, they will be doing a 7-week marathon of classic Doctor Who. 500 classic episodes. Starting with An Unearthly Child all the way through Survival. There will be a live chat. It'll start, like I said, May 29th, go until July 23rd. And they will be doing it in blocks, 3 times a day. It's completely free. All you have to do is just be able to get on Twitch. There will also be Doctor Who emojis, or emotes as they call them on Twitch, available. And those who subscribe also gain access to exclusive emojis themed around the classic Doctors. There will also be prizes given away for fans in the US, UK, and Canada. They will be hosting a giveaway each week, including a grand prize trip to London Comic Con. You can go to the link to the article, which will give you information on the terms and conditions for the contest. So starting each day, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. Pacific, U.S., to watch. So that's exciting. I'm all down to watch some classic Doctor Who. So. So if you wanted to watch some classic Who, and can't pay for BritBox or don't want to pay for BritBox, and you don't care about not having any control over what episode is airing, here you go. If you can just have it playing in the background while you're doing other things, vacuuming your floor, or folding laundry, or whatever. So that is.
And you can chat with fellow Whovians.
Exactly. Exactly. So I will definitely be tuning in.
Yep. I will be when I can.
Yep.
Hopefully.
I am down.
As part of it, I'm on vacation, so I can't watch it that week.
Yeah. So that is it for some fandom news. A little bit of other stuff. If you missed the posts on social media, we missed. We didn't have a show last week, but you could have heard my voice if you went and downloaded the most recent episode of the True North Nerds podcast. So I joined Kevin and Ryan while Jen and Brent were on vacation. Kevin and Ryan decided, what the heck, they're going to record something anyway. And invited me on, and they did just really fandom news, kind of like our fandom news flash episodes. So we talked mostly TV show renewals and cancellations, because that's what was kind of the big news at the time. And then talked a little bit of Free Comic Book Day. And then they do Geek Picks with all of their show episodes. If you listen to them, they always do Geek Picks, where everyone goes around the table and just kind of mentions something geeky that they want to recommend to everyone and all the listeners. So sometimes it's a comic book, sometimes it's a TV series, whatever is tripping their trigger at the time. So, if you didn't listen to that and or you don't follow my personal blog, and I will make sure to share it on our Facebook page when this show goes out, that my geek pick was, instead of rewatching the entire MCU again before Avengers 4 is released next year, because I had just rewatched the entire MCU before Infinity War came out. As much as I love the MCU, that is a lot of movies to watch all at once, even spread out, even once a week is a lot. And especially 2 years running, essentially. So I have kind of taken it upon myself to expand my cinematic horizons, as it were, and I have a habit of watching the same thing over and over again. As I said, I just rewatched Day of the Doctor last week, and we'll probably watch it again before PopCon. Here's Exhibit A right there. I've seen Infinity War 5 times. I watch things over and over again. But to kind of give myself something different to do before Avengers 4 next year, and to expand my movie watching, I have put a kind of a call out there for suggestions on movies that have people who have been in the MCU but are not MCU movies. And I'm trying to watch stuff that I've never seen. So things like, I've seen Jurassic Park. So Jeff Goldblum, been there, done that. I need to watch the rest of the Jurassic Parks, though. So I know he's not in all of them, but still. But
he's in enough of them.
He's in enough of them. Yeah. So if any of our listeners have suggestions for things, movies that have someone, if not multiple someones, who are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't mean like person, we try to stick with like main cast, not necessarily just the heroes. You can do like some secondary characters, or maybe someone who's not necessarily a full starring role, but, we're not going to do like, no offense, but like the rest of the Howling Commandos. I'm not too concerned about anything that those guys have been in outside of, Captain America. But obviously something that's like Sebastian Stan has been in, yes. Something that Haley Atwell has been in, yes. Something Paul Bettany has been in, yes. That sort of thing.
Haley Atwell, you can watch Christopher Robin.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go see Christopher Robin when it comes out in August. There we go. I'll have her checked off right there.
Yep.
So.
And what was your verdict on the Sherlock Holmes movies?
I liked them.
Yay!
Yeah. So far, I have
Yay!
watched both of the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, which actually is a threefer, if you want to get technical about it. There's 3 MCU alumni in the Sherlock Holmes movies, because obviously Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
Duh. Rachel McAdams, who's Christine Palmer in Doctor Strange. And then technically his movie has not come out yet, so he's not really an alumni, but I think it still counts. Jude Law is going to be in the Captain Marvel movie.
He's gonna be alumni by the time the next.
Exactly.
Avengers
He will
4
be
comes
an
out.
alumni by the time Avengers 4 comes out. So it still counts.
Yep.
So, and then I watched.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
Talking about Paul Bettany. Have you seen A Knight's Tale?
No.
Oh,
You need to watch A Knight's Tale.
Okay.
Yes.
You need to. It's wonderful. There's my recommendation for you there.
All right.
I completely
think I have
forgot
that
about
written down.
till you said it, Rachel.
I think I have that written down. So.
Good.
there's actually like a meme with that. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Plus, there's some Queen in that movie.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense on paper, but you watch it and like, okay, I get it.
It works.
Yeah.
I will buy that gladly for $1.
So, and then I also watched Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
How's that? I've never seen that
one. It is very British. It's a very British movie. It's a British, like, I don't want to say spy movie. I guess it kind of is because it's MI6. But it's very British. There's not a lot of action to it. It's a lot of men in suits, like, stealing evidence from each other and being very suspicious of each other. So.
Okay.
Because it's set during the Cold War. So it's the British spying on the Russians and the Russians spying on the British, with a little bit of help from the Americans, them spying on each other as well. So it's one of those,
It's one of those.
It's just one of those. It's not anything that you're going to be gripping, like, the edge of your seats, white knuckling, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? Kind of movie, but it's, and now that I've seen it, it's not really one that you can, like, re-watch once you find out who the spy/traitor is, because I don't think they really, like, foreshadow it or drop clues, because Chauncey said something afterwards. He's like, well, you could maybe rewatch it and look for clues. I'm like, no, because it's not really like the Ocean's 11 movies where at the end they go back and show you all the clues you missed. It doesn't do that. It's just kind of, this is the guy who was the spy. The end.
Okay.
So, but it has Benedict Cumberbatch in it, so.
Well,
Yep. Bonus there.
Why it fits, which is why it fits. So it's kind of a young Benedict Cumberbatch because this is from 2011. So, but yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions for movies,
I'm just glad you like Sherlock Holmes because I really love those movies, and I'm always happy
I
when
liked
people
them.
like them.
So I liked them. They're a bit predictable. If you know anything about Sherlock Holmes, especially if you've watched the Benedict Cumberbatch TV series and you know the storylines that they're pulling from, you can kind of be like, well, obviously that's, this is what's going on, but they're still fun. I love the way they're directed. I like the way Guy Ritchie, visualizes everything with, like, some of the showing the way Sherlock's mind works for things, and I really like the music too. So
Yeah, the music's fun.
yeah,
I have
fun.
both soundtracks.
Yeah, they're fun. So plus, it's Robert Downey Jr. So
And Jude Law.
and Jude Law. But I love Robert Downey Jr. So there's that, and I talk about that on True North Nerds. That was my geek pick for that. So there's that. So you can all check that out if you're so inclined. And speaking of movies, we can do a couple of short, non-spoilery reviews here, real quick. We don't have to get too in-depth on anything, so...
Since I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. That too. So, I went and saw Deadpool 2 when it came out, and I liked it. It's just as well made as the first one. The humor is still the same. It's definitely, it's an R-rated movie. It's definitely not for kids. It's it's violent, but it's not really grotesque violence. A lot of it is kind of funny, just the way they come up with ways of killing people. Unlike Game of Thrones, where like, I'm just gonna smash your head in, Deadpool's like, it's like, I'm gonna smash your head in, but I'm gonna do it in a funny way, type of thing. I think my biggest issue with Deadpool 2 is the pacing. It has some pacing issues. If you saw the first one, you'll be familiar with when they do like bits in slow-mo. And a lot of times, like, Deadpool's talking over it, talking about what's going through his head and that sort of thing. And they only use it a couple of times in the first one. They use it about 2 or 3 too many times in the sequel. And it slows down the movie in some spots where I'm like, yeah, could we just watch this in real time and move on here? Like, do we really need to be slow-moing this?
How was Brolin's character of Cable? Because
it's good.
Mixed.
He's good.
Okay.
This is the summer of Josh Brolin. Is what
Apparently.
this is. He, once again, another amazing performance from him. It's definitely different than Thanos, but it's still a really good performance. There are several cameos in this one that are blink and you miss. Beyond just the obvious cameo, which in this case is blink and you miss. But there are other cameos that are blink and you miss, but are quite funny because they're also part of some very funny jokes. There's a lot of cameos in this one. One of them is several people all at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a group of people all at once, and I will leave it at that, I think.
I mean, I kind of have an idea, but
yeah, let's just say that the Xavier Mansion is a bit more occupied this time around than in the first one, where it's just Colossus and Negasonic, and Deadpool Eve is even like, every time I come here, it's only you two. It's like the studio couldn't afford anyone else. Yeah, there's a few more residents at the Xavier Mansion this time around. So
he just had to go and jinx it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than the pacing, it's good. It's definitely good. I still think the first one was better. But it's still good. There's definitely some Easter eggs that I missed that I need to go back and watch it again just so I can look for them. Just because they throw so many Easter eggs into these movies, both visual and in joke form and that sort of thing. So it's quite the plot definitely takes some turns that I was not expecting. The way you can... The trailers are in no way... They're not misleading as far as the plot is concerned. The plot that you can assume from the trailers, you still get, but the way they get there is not how you would expect.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And there are some things that Ryan Reynolds has said in interviews that people probably thought that he was just pulling their leg, being that sarcastic kind of Deadpool-esque. But then when you watch the movie, you're like, oh crap, he was actually telling the truth.
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't seen any.
So.
Yeah, I haven't seen any interviews either. But
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it's so it was fun. It's good. I like it. Deadpool is just, it's hilarious. I mean, it's definitely not everybody's cup of tea as far as humor is concerned, and it definitely was not something I thought I would find funny, but it's actually hilarious. I find them hilarious, and the audience was definitely laughing right along with me when I saw it, so that's good. So there's that, and then I know Holly and I have both seen Solo, a Star Wars story.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. And
there was stuff that we had talked about in the podcast that we wished for. There were check marks.
Yep. There was stuff checked off. There were, there were surprises. There were a few surprises. There were a few, there was a few things that were surprising. They did set up a few things. Mm-hmm. Some things are very obvious just because we know where Han Solo is going. We know things that are going to happen to him down the line because we've already seen Han, older Han. So there are some things that are telegraphed, or it's like, yeah, obviously that's a thing because we've already seen it happen.
Yeah, then, just you wait.
Yeah. But then there are some other things that you're like, oh, interesting. Yeah. So, and I know we had a discussion with, in the chat with, I think, Glenn and Sean, I think, about where this fits in the overall cinematic timeline, because they don't spell it out explicitly where this falls in the timeline.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And there was some nice kind of nods to some of the Legends stuff, like I'm saying the original Han Solo trilogy written by Brian Daley, and then the Lando Calrissian series of stories. There was a bit of a nod to that as well, with just a little bit of a flip, but the nods were made.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and the way they left it, because Han at this point is so young that we could get multiple sequels and probably spin-offs with Lando.
Yes.
And still cover a lot of story before we get to episode 4.
Yes.
So.
And we also find out too why the.
Yeah. You see the Falcon in the trailers where the inside's all nice and clean and everything, and you know what the Falcon looks like by the time we see her in episode 4. Yeah, it doesn't take Han very long to get her dirty.
Ooh, for some reason that doesn't surprise me.
And the love-hate romance relationship with Lando and Han.
Yes. And Donald Glover though is a great Lando and does a really good job of, he definitely makes it his own, but you can definitely hear some Billy D. Williams in
Oh, yes.
the way he
Nice.
says some things
Yes.
and his mannerisms. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, you did your homework.
And
You channeled your inner Billy D.
yeah, the actor who played Han Solo, never once was I taken out of his performance by what he did.
Yeah,
I was drawn in.
yeah. It was
good.
good.
Okay, this is the young Han Solo. He's
Yeah.
still wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
He has stuff to learn. He's not the jaded scoundrel, tough guy, heart of gold that we know
Yeah, not yet.
from the. Not yet.
Yeah, we could see though
How
how
this-
he could get there. If we get some more movies and they continue with that subplot ish, it'll become a bigger plot point in subsequent movies, and you can see where Han's going to experience some things where he's going to get very jaded
Yes.
and become
Not
the
that
Han
a few
that
of
we
the
know.
things that he's already experienced hasn't made.
Yeah. At this
And
point, he's
Paul
he's
Bettany.
just
Yeah.
so
And Paul Bettany in this.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he was.
Yeah, I forgot he was in it until he showed up on screen. I'm like, oh yeah, there he is. There's a couple of
And-
spots where, it's not. I'm sure it's not intentional at all, but just the way that they did the sound mixing, that he sounded so much like Vision.
I know.
Nice.
Where they've
Yeah.
done a little bit of modulation on the voice. It wasn't intentional because he's not supposed to be. I mean, he's human, but in this, but they've done something. I think just with the audio mix where it kind of had that almost mechanical sound, computerized sound to it. And I'm like, no, sounds too much like Vision. I'm getting confused here. Stop.
and Amelia Clark, Kira. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Queen Mother did good.
Yes.
Queen of the Dragons did good.
Yes. She's a bad mamma jamma.
Yes. And Woody Harrelson's
Yeah. He doesn't,
Tobias Beckett.
yeah.
He was
He doesn't do much, but when he does, he's
yeah.
we don't see Woody. I don't think I've seen Woody Harrelson in anything since the Hunger Games.
No. Well,
So.
with the exception I caught one or two episodes of that True Detective thing that he did
Yeah, I never watched
on
that.
HBO
So
with Matthew McConaughey. I mean, it was okay, but movie role. I think this is his first one in a while
yeah,
that I'm aware of.
yeah. So it's fun.
And
It's just fun.
Yes.
It's not anything where it's it's not anything that really is a major linchpin in the bigger Star Wars mythos or anything. You could probably, at least right now, not see it, and it wouldn't affect the rest of the cinematic universe. It might later. But it's just kind of a fun movie. I kind of, going into it, I kind of was if it's decent, great, I'll be happy with it. I'm not expecting, another The Force Awakens type movie, and it's not on the same levels of Force Awakens. It's not quite Rogue One though either. I hate to compare it to the MCU just because that's not a fair comparison, but I think at this point I would say Solo is probably the equivalent of Ant-Man in the MCU.
Okay.
So
I mean, and Ron
it's
Howard did
just a
great
fun
job
it's just a
considering
fun
what kind
romp.
of a mess he had
know.
to walk into.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's not
Yeah, it's.
it's not anything
Yes.
that's oh my god, this changes everything, but at the same
The
time it's
soundtrack
yay.
was good.
Yes. Yeah. There's some new music,
Yeah.
but then
Well,
there's also
yeah.
some classic Star Wars tunes that you expect to hear. With things like the Empire and all that. So
I mean, and I was impressed with the gentleman who did the score along with the John Williams stuff. I mean, I think, if they're looking for somebody once John Williams is done, I'd be I would be happy with this gentleman
Yeah.
to take the reins.
Yeah. So. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's about what I've heard from people. Is like it's fun. It's not earth shattering,
Yeah.
but it was.
It's just a fun
good
space movie.
Popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So.
That's good to hear.
I'm hopefully seeing it tomorrow.
You should enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're good to go next week.
Yeah.
Next
Tuesday it's not one where you probably need to rush to go see it.
No. And I saw it in 2D and it was fine, even though there were some
too.
scenes that I'm sure that would have looked amazing in 3D. It was just...
Yeah. I think save your dollars and just see it in 2D and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's move on to feedback. So we've got some feedback from Shalane talking about the FanX announcement with Hercules and Xena as guests. So she sent us a comment about those TV shows. She said that her and her sister Allison used to watch the animated Hercules and Xena, but she didn't really care for it because the animation wasn't that good. And she thinks Disney's Hercules is better.
It was... Yeah, the animation on that movie is very cheap.
Yeah. And she
as
said,
I remember it.
Yeah, and then she said she tried watching the Xena Warrior Princess TV series, but she stopped during season 1 because she found it kind of annoying and it didn't seem that popular. So, which I don't know how popular it was. I was too young to have any idea of how popular it was. So I'm sure it had a decent following, but it's not. I don't think it was anything on the level like Star Trek or Doctor Who or something. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It had a decent enough following. It was on for a few years, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's just so much to watch.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. But now there's less to watch. At least one show less to watch now, so as I badly transition into this week's topic. I'm not doing very good with the segues.
It was a good.
It was a good run.
It was a good transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my segue. So. Once upon a time, there was a town in Maine, and now they live happily ever after.
Yes, and they left and went to Seattle for reasons.
Yes.
Let's see. The finale was awesome.
Yes.
It was getting to the finale that I was like, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet?
Yeah.
We
were getting to like 3 weeks left. I'm like, okay, because it's
probably
like we got so far in, and they killed off Victoria. I'm like, okay, well, there went our bad guy, and then it was Mother Gothel, and we got so far, and then they killed her off, kind of. Well, she turned her into a tree, same thing, I guess. So they got rid of Mother Gothel, and we still had like 3 or 4 weeks of the season left. I'm like, well, are we gonna have a bad guy to go into the finale here? And
I'm thinking, we're all thinking it's Dr. Facilier until...
Yeah, and then they're going to kill him off.
With
like 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, I just...
like, sparkly gold Rumpelstiltskin. It's like, holy crap out of what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we're going to end it?
It feels like they were just, this is everything they wanted to do, or that they... Maybe not that they really wanted to do it. This was maybe, the leftover ideas. And so, like, they were going to just throw them all together and smoosh them. And here, there's your last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or
maybe.
maybe see.
Yeah.
Sure, they gave him enough time, but maybe didn't. Because it would have been a little interesting to have more of the Wishverse Rumple.
Yeah,
I think.
Part of me too, like the last couple episodes with,
hard to say,
Rumple sending them all to the storybooks where they're all alone. And I'm like, that seems like that would have been a good, a good story arc to do, and you did it in just like not even a full episode.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I had Snow and Charming show back up, and I'm like, I can't believe how much I've missed you. Yes, I do.
Princess Rainbow Sparkle Poo is back.
I know. It's like, I missed you, Rainbow Sparkle. I feel bad for every naughty thing I said about you, or mean thing, I guess I said about you.
Sorry, Ginny.
She came back. And I have to say, this baby Neil finally grew up.
Yes,
right?
Kind of.
At the end. I didn't catch in the credits if it was if he was played by Ginny and Josh's son, or if he looked a little too old, but I don't know. It was just like, oh, you're here. I missed you. And then, like the week before that, when Robin and Alice are driving into Storybrooke, and I'm just like, oh, thank goodness. I
love to meet up with Zelina and Robin. Cotton's on right away, like, we're back in time.
Yeah.
That kid is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
initially when they said that the curse had actually sent him back in time, I'm like, well, that seems kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then they actually kind of did something with it, and then they had young Henry and older Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting up face to face, and the whole, on Henry's graduation day, and the phone call, like a lot of that stuff felt right. Like we're actually in the show instead of this side thing with people that we don't really know anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and two, Rumple and Hook teaming up and finally making peace.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you would have in a million years thought those two would bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see it happen.
Yeah, and not just bury the hatchet. It actually becomes a plot point because Rumple sacrifices himself to save Hook.
Yes,
and that's like a huge story, character arc for him. Because how many times we're like, Rumple's never going to change. He's never going to be good. He's never going to have a heroic moment ever. And then he finally,
6
and it
years,
takes,
and how many episodes in literally in the last 15 minutes of the last episode ever, Rumple finally gets his redemption.
Yes. Well, even
nothing like waiting to the last minute, guys.
Yeah. Well, especially too when Alice was going to take over for the Guardian, and he's just like, "Nope, not going to let you do it." I'm just like, "Okay, we're getting somewhere."
Yeah, I remember getting really mad at that part at first before he started to explain. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think
it seems like
he kind of
it's a total
Tilly as a surrogate child.
Mm-hmm.
Within that wish, in that curse of the Seattle with the memories.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised they didn't even bring Gideon back for the crowning ceremony. But he's off studying somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have been they just couldn't get the actor, or they kind of feel like, well, we got Rumple and Belle have had their deal, and Rumple's been redeemed, and Belle lived to an old age and passed away. So maybe it was they're good.
Yeah, go ahead. My only wish is that they could have brought Michael Raymond James back as Neil, just for 2 minutes or something, father-son reunion. It's like, hey, you did good.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the only thing I missed.
Yeah. Although I kind of feel like they might have felt like that they said goodbye to him in whatever episode that was the 100th episode when they went down to the underworld and he showed up and talked to Emma for a bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just couldn't get him.
That could be too.
But it's okay. It's for what they had and for what they did and it turned out really, really good.
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of at the end I was actually kind of a little emotional because I was like, I'm really sad this show is over. And I remember, I really love this show and this is why. And and I loved the whole, Regina is crowned queen of all the realms. First off, the realms to Storybrooke. Yeah. And I I love that whole visual thing
elected.
That they're flying over. Yeah, elected. And I love that bit where you see all the realms, or they fly over, and it looks. I'm like, this looks like Disney World.
Yes.
And, there's in this little corner in Maine, and then Regina finally. Oh my gosh, how long has this been? They finally acknowledge that she is a hero and the good queen, and I'm just like, show she's been this way for several years, and you just haven't really let her, take on that moniker, that character. Like she's always felt to me like made to feel like she's the evil queen, and now it's finally Snow and Charming are saying, oh yeah, you're good, even though they've said it lots of times before, but never mind. It just felt right.
And now the charming family Thanksgivings are going to be even more awkward.
Yeah.
With two different Henrys.
Yep.
Two different hooks.
Two different hooks. It's like, this is not confusing at all.
No, one of them's going to have to wear the red vest all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work, but it'll work. And yes, I got all happy and squishy when Emma and Hook came in and they had the baby with them. I'm like, oh,
sorry we're late.
Emma comes running in a ball gown and her leather jacket on top.
I'm like, you know what? That's perfect.
Yes.
I guess she's a princess in her own right. But she's also the sheriff.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard to see Hook's hook was baby proofed with the pacifier.
I know. I was like, oh, he's got the pacifier on his hook. Oh, that's so cool.
That's adorable.
Oh, no, the finale was just so good.
Yeah.
And a curse that was actually a good curse.
Yes.
Can you really call it a curse if it's good, though? Wouldn't it just be a spell?
Well, it was, I guess, based on the dark curse, but they reverse engineered it to be like, okay, we're gonna do this where we don't have to kill anybody,
right?
And we're all just gonna, say something nice to Regina.
Yeah. I guess. To me, curse just has a very negative connotation to it. So.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a reason.
Yeah. Spell would probably have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although maybe she was just saying like, well, it's the same principle as the dark curse, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that was the best way she could explain it to
probably
everybody.
What it was.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
But, yeah, I just
no.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just like because I kind of had the same feelings that we almost had this time last year, where we had last year's finale, and we were like, yeah, that was good. That was a good ending to the show, but the show wasn't ending. And now it actually has ended, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good ending to the show. It really could have ended a year ago, though.
Yeah.
And I think I would have felt the same way.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like I could sit here and had to deal with like this whole year. I haven't really cared. I've only kept watching because I'm like, well, I've watched this far. Why quit now?
Yeah.
And this is
See it to its
the
logical
end.
conclusion.
I mean, there were some good ideas. They just were not executed very well. I kind of felt like they stopped caring too.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed that they don't even have the same costume designer anymore toward the end. I mean, I guess he kind of phased out and someone else took over. And they were very proud of whoever who was designing the costume. What was his last name? Castro, yes, thank you. Yeah. And but yeah, by the end he wasn't even in the credits anymore, so I guess he's moved on to something else, which fair enough. I mean, he does excellent work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think everybody's just they were ready.
Yeah. So. And now people are moving on to other things, and it's some of the casting is taking a well-deserved vacation. Some of them have already moved on to other projects if you follow them on social media. So
yeah, Robert Carlyle was working on a War of the Worlds remake.
Yeah, he's in the middle of acting on something, I think. So I know Lana went on vacation.
Yeah.
But
Josh Dallas is going to be starting a new.
Yeah, he's on a new TV show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. I mean, there's some episodes I kind of want to go back and rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
But on the whole, I'm like, you had a good run and so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah. Pretty much. So. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they, did like books or something.
Yeah, I think
more of a book series. That'd be neat.
Yeah. Yeah, comics or something, because they did have some graphic novels.
Yeah. They had
I feel like there are some.
There was the first book that they did was called Awakening, which is kind of like a retelling of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Red's story, the story of Red, that was good, and then a story about Regina when she was younger. Those are the 3 books that are out, and then the graphic novels was one about the evil queen, and then the other one was like a bunch of like 4 or 5 little short stories focusing on characters. I think Hook, Regina, Rumple and Belle, and then one other.
Yeah, I remember there were 4 in that one, and can't remember what the last one was. Maybe it was Robin Hood? I don't know, I have to look it up.
It could have been Robin.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. It's like this. The characters could go on in books or comics, but the show is, we're good.
We're good.
Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a good idea and a good premise, and a lot of the time it was done really well. Just kind of at the end, they got way out of control with all the crossing over fairy tales, and we don't know what time zone we're in, and I couldn't really keep track of who was what and stuff. And I mean, there are some things in this season that I'm like, oh, I wish they could have done that a little bit better. But in the end, it's just kind of like, we're done. Let's just go home.
Yeah.
Finish it up, cash our paychecks, and let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that they were able to, incorporate a lot of fairy tales, but they also did some stories that aren't necessarily fairy tales per se. They did things like Victor Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Jack and the Beanstalk. So some stories like that aren't necessarily fairy tales per se. But at the same time, they also did, a lot of very traditional stuff, with Cinderella and Snow White. And Sleeping Beauty and all that fun stuff. So.
And there was a little blink and you miss reference. We finally find out who Lily's father is.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So.
Right at the very end there.
Yeah.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily. I didn't want them to keep going, but if they had, there were definitely some characters that I would have liked them to bring in, like Maui. They had Maui's hook.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I would have loved them to bring in Maui and even have The Rock, play Maui. That would have been amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have.
That would have been awesome.
Maui, Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
Yes.
Colin O'Donoghue, and Robert Carlyle all in the same room acting against each other. To be a fly on that wall, if that would have ever happened.
Yes.
That would have been amazing.
Boy.
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Fanfic writers, get on it, please.
Yeah.
Comics.
Comics. Yes.
I would totally be down for that.
Same.
So, I mean, is there anything that you kind of wish that they would have done?
Can't think of anything because I feel like
I mean, when you've got so much literature to pull from, but
yeah. I mean, once they brought in, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein and the what was the other one? Oh, there was that season of the Land of Forgotten Stories. It's like, okay, well, what isn't considered a story? And it's like, okay, well, if copyright is an issue, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or even Star Wars to a degree or something like that. It's like they're they could go on and on and on, and at some point it's like, well, you kind of have to slow it down and do something else.
yeah.
But even so, it was a fun. I really enjoyed the show and I loved the premise but I'm glad we covered it.
Yes.
Now what am I gonna watch?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Well, I joked. I still need to see
has been gone.
Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. I still need to watch that spin-off.
That one. It's a slow start, but once it gets going, it's like, oh, why did you cancel this?
Yes. It's Chrissy. You're exactly right. And the Alice that's in the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland is not the same Alice that we're getting.
No.
No.
In Once Proper.
Did you guys see the interview with her though? The gal that plays Hook's Alice.
Tilly.
Yeah,
yes.
Tilly.
I think I saw one, a short one.
Yeah.
I didn't.
There was I think it was a video I shared in the chat that popped up on YouTube like a week or two before the finale, where they were talking with the cast about the show coming to an end, especially those that came in the last season. Which
there were many.
There were many that came in, but apparently, No, it wasn't Tilly. It was the gal who plays Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister played the daughter of the Mad Hatter, I think.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yep.
I think that's
Interesting.
what she said.
Yeah.
So she already had a connection to the show before she ever got the role of Robin. So
well, that works.
yeah. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, good for you. So, and it was good to see. It was good to see a lot of familiar faces. come back for the finale. We knew that we knew the Charmings were coming back.
Yeah.
We saw the return of Ariel. Peter Pan coming back there though for his hot second. That was a complete surprise.
Oh yeah. Which I thought I'd be really annoyed by it, but then, well, when I first saw him, I was like, "Oh, why are you here?" And then he's like, "Oh, he's talking about the Rumple in the Wish realm," and I'm just kind of like, "Ha ha! I don't care about you."
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting what you're getting.
Yeah. It's like, haha, you're locked up. Sucks to be you. Bye. But it was definitely one of those like, whoa, I did not expect you to come back. So
Exactly.
I don't see his name, so either I missed it or they were.
I think that was one they kept under wraps. So.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a surprise. So. And it was. I was surprised. I was very surprised. So that was fun. And I like how they still left some things like open at the end, even though they pretty much wrapped everything up. You know, Hook sacrificed himself so that it would destroy Wish Realm Hook, which we talk about that for a second. The Wish Realm. My one irk, I guess, is that this Wish Realm, they have counterparts of everybody. So in the Wish Realm, Regina is still the evil queen. Emma is a clumsy princess. Fairy fairy princess, I guess. There's Wish Realm Rumple. Why is there only one dark, one dagger across all of the realms? Why is there not a dagger for the Wish Realm Rumple?
Maybe the magic's too powerful? I don't know.
Or,
no idea.
Or when Hook and Emma went back, did they create that Wish Realm? And hence only one dagger.
I don't know. Because that was kind of like this whole thing, that was kind of like the plot of the last two episodes, was that this version of Rumple wants the Dark One dagger. I'm like, why do you not have your own dagger? There's an alternate to everybody. There's an alternate Henry, who's very, very bitter, apparently, because he got friend-zoned.
Yeah, that whole young Henry in the Wish Realm. I'm just like, oh, kid, you need. Let's talk. Let's go get ice cream and a hot chocolate with cinnamon, and we'll have a therapy session. Yeah. We need Dr. Hopper. Where's Archie?
Yes.
It's like, yes, your grandparents got killed. That sucks. But then you got friend zoned, and you suddenly decide that you're just gonna take your author powers and just destroy everybody's happy.
Well, he was listening to Grandpa Dark One though too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that wasn't helping matters any either.
Well, yes, but still, it's like, really, kid, we need to have a talk about girls.
And which relative you listen to and go to for advice.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, I know we're a little bitter, but this is not the way to go about things.
Yeah. It's like, here, we'll deal with this. It's okay.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. We're gonna go have a nap.
Yeah.
And a sandwich.
Yeah.
Have a Snickers.
Yes.
Let's go to Granny's and get you some meatloaf and
skip lasagna.
Everything will be better later. It was just it was a bit convoluted as far as plot was concerned, in my humble opinion, but that's just thinking. I know. I'm speaking madness here.
That's okay. The madness is
We're all mad here.
We find something else to.
Well, I was kind of surprised we didn't get a return of the Dark Fairy.
Yeah. Like, we're having every other dark thing show up. Why not her?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's just go for the whole kit and caboodle.
Mhm.
Let's do.
Yeah.
Let's go for the whole dark family genre here.
Yeah.
Well, and the seer was quasi-right. Child would be his undoing, but
Yeah.
as you know,
It's like, we gotta pull everything back because we're not gonna get to answer it. And Tumblr will go nuts if we don't.
Heaven forbid we tick off Tumblr.
Oh, jeez. I'm so over Tumblr.
Me
I have
too.
I have been for a while. But anyway. Nah, it was, it's good. Even though the high note was a little drawn out.
Yeah.
And not so high in some places. But that's okay. It was a fun ride.
Mhm.
Now
I
it
don't
is
know.
done.
Anything else we want to say about it?
The end.
I think we're
we
good.
got it.
The
I
end.
think we're good.
Mhm.
And they lived happily ever after.
Mm.
Did they really do that? They lived happily ever after. Missed a trick. Oh well. We'll say it for them. They lived happily ever after. The end.
Mhm.
But if any of our listeners want to chime in with their thoughts on Once Upon a Time and add your version of happily ever after to this long and convoluted story, you can send us feedback. Our email address is 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, Fangirls. That's on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, kind of our main ones that people seem to like congregating at. So we'll prop those up. And you can also support us through our Patreon and through our Amazon store. And we also have a shirt shop, which also helps support the show. And you can also say, hey, I listen to this podcast and I love it so much, it's on my t-shirt, or whatever sort of apparel you decide to buy. And we, as always, we thank our to go to our Amazon store and or if you send in feedback, interact with us on our social media. It's all in support of the show, and we thank you for listening and being here with us and enjoying our little bit of madness, because what's a little madness without some friends, right?
Mhm. We're all mad here.
Yes, we enjoy every minute of it.
Mhm. Yep. And the madness will continue next week with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Speaking of madness, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. And fair warning, just it doesn't apply to any of us anymore, thank goodness, but we will be talking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next week, and that will involve talking Infinity War, so there will be, if there's anybody out there that has not seen Infinity War yet, you may want to skip next week's show, because there will be spoilers for Infinity
here's
War.
about spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you haven't seen Infinity War, you're probably the type that doesn't really care about it anyway.
It's
so
been
you
a month,
just might not
so...
care. But anyway, fair warning. Fair warning.
Yeah. Because it's very integrated with each other, so we really could not talk Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. without talking Infinity War spoilers.
Nope.
So
Because there are repercussions.
there are.
Yep, as we kind of guessed there would be.
Yes.
So that's not a spoiler to say that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anyway.
there's your warning. So, until next week, though, we shall sign off for this week. And Brittany's already ready. She's like, I'm ready to go.
I got
No, that was a good segue, so go for it.
Sorry.
Until next week.
them saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And they live happily ever after. listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at Patreon at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to help keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit mymerch.us. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all on the next episode.